Why do people sit on non-owner occupied properties and let them decay instead of sell them? On my walk I noticed a rough-looking home right next to a bunch of nice homes in a really expensive neighborhood. I don't like to be nosy, but was curious because it kind of creeped me out. I looked it up and it says non-owner occupied and the owner is a 40-year-old person who lives on the other side of the state. It was last sold in 1999. I just don't understand why people keep paying our hefty school and property taxes on a building they let decay instead of selling it before it's condemned. Our market is also a very competitive area with low inventory and 0 lots available for new construction, so it would make sense to cash out before they have to sell it just as land. Edit to add, just found out that the parents that owned it passed away, mom in 2013 and dad in 2019. And the son went to prison for dealing drugs, so it was left to the daughter who now owns a bunch of properties and has been fined for failure to maintain her rentals. Probate. There was a 6,000 sqft mansion on 5 acres overlooking the water near me that's been vacant for almost 10 years. Owners died. No children. No will. Every single brother, sister, cousin, niece and nephew claimed the house, as well as the county, for failure to pay taxes. I imagine it'll have to be torn down by the time they sort everything out. It was the house they grew up in. Sentimental value. Fighting among the heirs. Stuck in different legal disputes. Many reasons. Maybe parent dies. 3 kids inherit the house. One wants to sell. One wants to move in but not pay out the others. And the third wants to rent it out as an income stream. Legal battles ensue. And it's really hard to do something with a house in that situation if people won't cooperate. We had a neighbor pass away and one of their children inherited the house. They lived in another state and the house sat empty for years. Lots of people contacted the new owner to try and purchase it as it's a pretty desirable neighborhood. They were never willing to sell. The county eventually condemned the house and even tore it down about 18 months after condemning it. The lot was eventually sold at a tax auction. It still hasn't been any activity on that lot yet other than the original owner's truck was finally towed away about 14 mo after the lot sold at auction. Stupidity at its highest level. We recently moved into a house in NC renting. The home is in an upscale neighborhood and is currently valued at $460,000. That is until you take into account the tuck pointing, 30 years old roof, masonry, gutter replacement, and interior electric that needs looked at. Former owners didn't do crap. Current owner hasn't done anything since they purchased it 2 years ago, has never lived in it. This stuff infuriates me. Don't even ask what they're charging us in rent. You should see how complicated old farmland can be. There is a very old minority community just up the road from me. No estates were ever processed and now the number heirs can be huge. It was just Granddaddy's land and people lived on it. Granddaddy probably didn't have a clear deed. Some of the sales or clarifying ownership can take years and years and folks just give up trying to fix it. Personally, I would never sell my parents' property, but I also wouldn't let it decay. They can't afford it. Maybe it's a tear down regardless. Value in land. Lots if reasons. Empty lot next to me was $160K 10 years ago. Not 1.25 M. And all the homes around it get leveled anyway. I live across the street from one of these houses. The owner comes by and mows the lawn every few weeks. There are also other situations. I own one of those empty rundown house I bought in April. It was from probate. Inside it's disgusting. My plan to demolish and build a McMansion. But city permitting process is so slow. I am in final stages to get my permit. But house been setting empty since April in area where rent is at least $4,000 per month. I have a neighbor like this. They are still living. All utilities shut off. They haven't been inside the house in several years. Raccoons now reside there. I've seen them randomly peeking out the windows. The owners will stop by every week or so to mow the grass and drop off junk behind the fence. The interior I'm sure is destroyed and repeated attempts to get the city to do anything falls on deaf ears. The only upside is that it's the quietest house on the block. Another reason is elderly parents in nursing homes. My brother and I are at the point with our mom. She needs more care than we can provide. She can get into a nice place with insurance and Medicare, Medicaid. But if we sell her house, the nursing home gets that dollar. If we just sit on the home, neither of us live close when mom passes. We can sell it. The level of care for her doesn't change. Just who gets the money. There's a historic area in my town that is impossible to do anything with. There are people that buy small homes for $500,000, $700,000 on decent-sized lots and then ignore them for years, allowing the to fall into disrepair, entirely with the intent of the property losing its contributing historical status. They can then tear it down and build a new home. I bought a triplex that is across the street from the historic district. The first house in it was built in 1895 and is being left to rot. Yes, it does to some degree. I have to keep a gun by the back door because the raccoons are a bit aggressive. The house is full of trash, as is the backyard. The backyard is fenced so the city refuses to do anything. Tax advantages. Depreciation is a powerful tool in real estate investing. Buildings managed as losses can also be written off to help offset massive cash gains elsewhere. I wonder the same thing. I bought a lakefront lot a couple years ago just like this. The owner passed and the son inherited it, lived in a different state, and let it fail to absolute shit. House would have been worth $500,000 in basic livable condition. Instead he sold it for $150,000 and we tore it down. I looked the guy up and he is far from wealthy. He's also owned and been paying taxes on it for years. The only excuse I can think of is just being freaking lazy. I wondered the same thing about a house in my old neighborhood. The woman who owned it died about 20 years ago. Her kids would stop by to shovel snow and mow the lawn but never put it on the market or rented it out. It was a nice 4-bedroom house 20 years ago. I just wonder what kind of condition it's in after 20 years of no regular upkeep. Everyone in the neighborhood wondered why they didn't want to sell it since none of them wanted to live in it. Why leave it to rot? Capital gains taxes. I sell in Manhattan and we have property that just parks money. Manhattan is a pretty safe spot to put a few mil if you just want it safe. It probably will appreciate at 3.5 a year, and if it falls drastically, you can be almost certain that there are way bigger problems going on and the stock market has already crashed. They are more wealthy than you or me. They gonna fix it up one day, like that rotting car in the yard. There is a block of about 18 apartments down the street from where I live. When I moved here in 2009, they were installing new windows and doors. As of today, not one of them has been rented out. I have seriously thought about contacting the owner and making an offer on them. We have a very rundown house nearby on a busy highway. Pickup truck sitting in front hasn't moved in 2 years. It could be a nice place if it's not too far gone inside. We jokingly call it the Bates house. My mother owns 3 houses, 2 which are used only for vacation time. She just likes to have them. Makes no sense to me.